Okay, so we are going to get started in the usual way with just a little foam rolling on the back. So foam roller should be perpendicular to your spine and have you lay on the mat and go up and down your back. So you're going to go up as far as where the neck kind of meets the shoulders and then roll down all the way until about your last rib. That's just a few inches below your scapula. We are just loosening up the back to start with. Today is all back focus, so focusing on the things that can be done to help relieve low back pain. A lot of different causes of low back pain, but today our focus is on muscles that can contribute to low back pain when they're tight. And we're going to go into some of those muscles and get them loosened up. But right now, we're focusing on taking some deep breaths and getting into the mid and upper back with our foam roller, just going up and down. Right, happy weekend, everyone. Happy Saturday. Start off with some relaxing things to help your low back. And the first thing we're going to do is hip flexors. So tension in the legs, front, back, and sides all have a lot to do in contributing to low back discomfort. So we're going to be hitting some leg areas today. And we're going to start with the front of the legs, which is the hip flexors. So if you take your attention to the screen, I'm going to show you on my body. So this area in the front of the hip here, where your thigh meets your torso, those are your hip flexor attachments. And that's what we're going to work on to start with for today. So you're just going to actually lay on top of your foam roller and have it stretching right across that area where your leg meets your torso. And we're going to work on those hip flexors in that position. I'm going to have you go ahead, lay comfortably here. You can just rest your head on your hands. And then what we're going to do to get that massage, we're going to start with the left leg. You're going to bend your knee. And then what you're going to do is take like a windshield wiper, take your left leg to the left. Excuse me. And take your left leg to the right. So kind of just going back and forth. And since we've got the foam roller pressing into the hip flexors, the force of gravity is just enough here to kind of massage into that hip flexor area. And here you may need to move up or down like an inch if you really don't feel that you're working into any muscle. You don't want to be on a bone. So try to find a spot where it feels like you're getting some muscle massage with this back and forth movement of your foot. Good. So a lot of times when we sit for long periods, these muscles we're working on right now get so tight and shortened, and it really contributes to low back pain sometimes. So that's why we're working into this to start with today. Okay, let's switch now to the other side. So now you're going to bend your right knee. Keep that right knee on the mat. And just kind of windshield wiper action again with that foot. Move it to the left, pinky towards the floor, and to the right, toe towards the floor. So just back and forth like this. Make sure your upper body is relaxed here. So head on your hands. or on the mat, whichever makes your neck feel most rested in this position. I'm just going to move back and forth into this hip flexor for a few more seconds. And then we'll stretch it out. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to stretch that out, that hip flexor area. So there's two different ways we can do it, with or without a strap, and I'll show you both ways so you can pick which one feels best to you. So we're going to start stretching that right hip flexor. You're going to be lying on your left side. So you can kind of fold your left hand under your head for a little pillow. You can either just grab the ankle and pull back, or what I like to do, I like to take my strap, and I'm going to show you my backside so you can kind of see how I do it here. Same stretch. I'm just using an assistance of the strap and holding it over my shoulder like this. I'll show you from the other side too. So whether you feel better with the strap or just grabbing your ankle and giving it a pull, either way, this sideline position gives you a nice access to that upper region of your hip flexors we were just working the stretch into. We're going to hold this a little bit longer, really try to take a couple deep breaths and sink into this stretch. We're feeling that up the front of your thigh. Okay, and now let's switch sides. So we're going to lie on our right side now so we can get into the left hip flexor. And so we're going to lie, you're going to fold your right arm under your head for a nice little pillow. You're either going to grab onto your left ankle or loop your band around so you can pull that foot, that left foot back towards your butt. Deep breath here. Sink into the stretch. Got a special picture coming up for you in a few seconds here, because our next focus is hamstring. That's going to be the opposite side of the leg. Right now we're working all through the front. So now we're going to work the back side, the hamstrings, and if those are tight, they can be big contributors to low back pain. So we're going to find a way to help ourselves through the back side. So take your attention to the screen. I'm going to share a picture with you I made just for you. All right, picture on the left, we have hamstrings. Easter this weekend, I couldn't resist. Instead of lines, I drew hams for your hamstrings. So we're going to be working, we're going to foam roll first down the hamstring. So we're going to start in a line working up right here towards next to the glutes, and then we're going to work down towards the knee, not going into that space behind the knee, but just sticking above that. So you're welcome for the hams. So we're going to take our foam roller. It's going to stay perpendicular to your leg, and we're going to work it down towards the knee. So we're going to be lying on our back. Just go ahead and lie on your back. Start with the left hamstring. So you're going to push that foam roller as far as you can, right up against that glute. and then lie that left leg down flat on top of it. All right. And what we're going to do is just twist the leg to the left and right. So kind of like you're pretending like your foot's a windshield wiper. You're twisting it to the left and the right. Now, if this doesn't feel like it's doing much for you, like you'd like a little bit more pressure into your hamstring, just stack your other leg on top and you'll immediately feel a lot more pressure through your hamstring, but maybe just laying on top is enough for you. And we're going to work stepwise down the hamstring. Envision the line of hams, right? So now we're going to move down the hamstring to that second line of hams, just a couple inches. And you're still windshield wipering with that foot. So twisting to the left and to the right. When you twist that left foot all the way to the right, you do start to feel getting into the adductors. So that kind of inner part of your hamstring. Really important to get those two. Those get really tight. All right. So we're just twisting back and forth, getting a good massage on that hamstring muscle. Okay, push down one more time, the foam roller. So you don't want to go in that space behind your knee. You're staying above that space behind your knee, but just working down a little bit further. Feel free to stay in any one spot too if you feel like you're finding something that needs some work. You're just twisting back and forth. Okay, and switch. Right side. So here again, both of your knees are bent and you're pulling the foam roller up, right, snug against that glute. And then just laying your right leg flat over top of it. And then is when we start that twist. So windshield wiper with your foot, left to right. If you only pick one area to work in your hamstrings, you know, unless you know you have a knot somewhere else, this is where I would pick. This is where they attach to your pelvis, and you can get a lot of tension in just the specific area right up against your glutes. Some of you are maybe feeling that right now, a little tension in there. Okay, move down just an inch or two towards the knee with the foam roller and keep twisting back and forth with your foot. Okay, and move down a little further if you want, or stay in the same spot if it's feeling particularly good to you where you are working into right now. Just keep twisting your foot left to right and getting into that hamstring and the adductors a little bit when you twist that toe in towards the midline. So next we are going to stretch these hamstrings out. So let's get a strap. Grab your strap. You want to place your foot right in the middle of your strap. You've got equal length on each side of your foot. And then you're going to, we'll start with the left foot. So keep your right foot bent a little bit. That just saves your back some discomfort. And we're going to just pull up that left leg away from the ground as far as you need to go. It's going to look different for everybody, but at a certain point, you'll start to feel a gentle stretch through that hamstring, that back area on the left leg. That's where you want to hang out. Now, if you notice, my elbows are on the mat. I would encourage you, whether you've got a towel or a strap or a belt, whatever you're using to stretch with, try to grab it in a place where you can rest your elbows on the ground. In other words, don't grab up towards your foot and get yourself all crunched up just to hold this stretch. Let's relax the upper body, relax the arms, hold on to your stretching strap in a place where you can still rest the elbows on the ground. And that just encourages everything to relax more in this position. A couple deep breaths here. Okay, and let's switch legs. So put your right foot in that strap. Left knee is slightly bent, and you're just pulling that right foot up away from the floor as far as you need to go. Feel a good hamstring stretch there. If you feel yourself loosening up a little bit, you can cinch up on the band a little bit, pull it a little bit further away from the ground. Just take some deep breaths, breathe through this stretch. It's going to help you relax into it a little bit better. So the next area we're going to work on, keep stretching this, but the next area will be hips. One of the biggest contributors to low back tension is tight hips. So definitely going to spend a lot of time there, stretching and foam rolling. So I'm going to show you a picture again to help you visualize where we're putting the foam roller next. So the picture on the right, I have drawn some blue lines for you. So you can see the sacrum is this triangle space, like in between the glutes. And we're going to be off the edge of the sacrum, not on the sacrum, but where these blue lines are, where these glute muscles come in and attach to the sacrum. So that's our focus now, working into that area. So how do we place the foam roller? Well, we're going to start on the left glute, and it's going to be just that edge of the foam roller where those blue lines were. So we're going to be lying on the foam roller and then working up and down the border of that sacrum. So lie on your back, feet bent, and lift up and place the edge of that foam roller underneath your left glute. Now, if you need to, just for like a frame of reference, you can start on the sacrum. You can probably feel that bony area and slide off to the edge because we don't want to actually be on the sacrum. So slide off the edge. And we're going to start pretty far up the sacrum. So you want to make sure you're not on your low back. You want to be below that, but at the top, towards the top of your sacrum. And once you find a spot that feels like you can hang out there for a little bit, what I'd like you to do is take that left knee, drop it towards the mat, and then bring it back up towards your other knee. So we're just kind of, now we've got the windshield wiper going, but it's your thigh, it's your knee that's swishing back and forth here. So I drew a couple lines on that picture because we want to work not just in one area, but we kind of want to travel down the border of the sacrum. We want to get, there's so many different muscles that attach here and that can get tight and contribute to low back pain. So I'm trying to get more than one group here. So you want to just slide it down a little bit further towards your tailbone, get a new spot, and really work that knee in towards the other knee and then drop it towards the mat. And as always, if you're really discovering something that needs extra focus, just hang out on this one, any one spot you like. But I'll walk you through different areas that you can focus on here. And maybe make another adjustment down even further towards your tailbone. chances are you probably have one particular spot or two that feel like that good kind of hurt here, where it's like you really feel like you could use the work. Okay, so we're going to switch to the right side. So same concept here. You're putting the edge of the foam roller right off the border of your sacrum there. And then once you find a spot that is comfortable enough to hang out in, taking that right knee, dropping it towards the mat, and then bringing it back up towards the other knee, back and forth there. Interestingly enough, we're working on the low back, but we actually don't really ever want to stick a foam roller in your low back and work that area. And that's why when we're warming up, I always encourage you to stop where your last rib is, you know, when we're rolling up and down the back, because those ribs provide extra support. But when your ribs end, then you're just right on the spine. And that's a bit too much pressure just to put directly on that low back spine. So we will be doing all the areas around the low back. Let's scoot down just a little bit further on that foam roller. Put it a little bit more towards your tailbone. Adjust again. We work all the areas that contribute to the low back pain, and we can really make headway without actually placing the foam roller directly onto that low back spine. And maybe one more adjustment. If you would like to move that foam roller down towards your tailbone a little bit more, keep moving that knee in and out. Okay, so we're going to do a hip stretch next. A couple different variations here. For those of you who can do it this way, it's kind of like a pigeon pose if you're familiar with that from yoga. You're placing your shin of one foot or one leg on the mat and just leaning forward like this to stretch your hip. Now, if that doesn't work for you, I would suggest sitting in a chair and kind of just crossing the foot over and pressing down like this on the knee to get a stretch in your hip. Either way, we're going to hang out in that stretch for about a minute on each side. So let's start with the left side, really bend. You want to change the angle of your knee. So if you're not feeling it in the hip, just change how much your knee is bent. So you can bend it more or bend your knee less. And that's going to target different areas in your hip. But we should be feeling stretch through that area that we just foam rolled, which is a nice compliment for that. Okay, so let's switch it up. Take your right leg into position to stretch your right hip. Coming up next, I have a very relaxing pose for you. I think it's been very relaxing all along, but I think especially what we have coming up next will be a nice restorative feeling for you. Get the body in a pretty relaxed position. So we're going to move on to our backs. Lie on your back. Take your foam roller you're going to have your knees bent. Take your foam roller and just place it under your sacrum. So you want to feel like your tailbone is off the sacrum. So you want to have it kind of far up on your sacrum, not on your low back, below your low back, but on the top of your sacrum. And that's it. We are just going to hang out here in this position and do some deep breathing. And this does a lot to relax the low back and pelvic area, just relaxing with the hips supported into the air like this. Deep breath. Just think about your hips really sinking into the foam roller, just becoming part of the foam roller. And make sure your upper back, your arms, your hands, everything is just relaxed. We're not doing any work here. We're just lying here in this supported position. Okay, place the foam roller to your side. Now we're just going to grab both your knees and pull right into the chest. You can grab on top of your knees, or you can put your hands in by your hamstrings if you want a more intense stretch, and you can pull up behind your knees like this. Either way, we're just bringing the knees into the chest for that nice low back stretch here. All right, we've got one more stretch here. So you're going to take your left leg, keep it straight, and then take your right leg, bring your knee up to your chest with your right leg, and then take your left hand, place it on top of that right leg and twist, pulling that right knee all the way across your body, all the way to the floor if you can. And make sure you keep your shoulders on the mat. So what this is doing is giving you a really nice rotational stretch in your low back because of that twist. And if you're pulling, you may even feel a stretch in your hip as well. This is a really nice combo stretch for the hip and low back. All right, and now we're going to switch sides. Take that left knee over to the right. Right leg is straight, and you're keeping those shoulders on the ground and pulling that left knee across your body with your right hand. We're hanging out here for just a few seconds to really feel that stretch in the hip and low back. And remember, if you are finding help from these classes, you ever want to return to something that we've done in class and can't remember, or you just want to go through it again, the email I send out after class with the link to the workout and the class that we do is active until the end of the month. So you can do it as many times as you want until the end of the month if there's something that you particularly find helpful. And we have done it again. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Next stretch and roll is going to be text neck. So we're going to address this position and make it this position. And that will be helpful for everyone, I think. So that will be on Thursday. Thank you, everyone.